The first duty and responsibility of a citizen is to obey the laws of the country as enshrined in the Constitution. Wikipedia defines law as a set of rules that are created and enforceable by social or government institutions to regulate behavior. Laws are made to regulate the actions of members of a community or country and may be enforced by imposition of penalties. Whether in a democratic setting or not, laws are for the protection of citizens. It is a fact that acting in accordance to the law promotes orderliness, peace, and security of the country.
That we can only make Nigeria better if all of us are more responsible, more accountable, and transparent in our dealing. We cannot keep accusing our various state governors, House of Rep members, senators, and other men in authority of being lawless, while even us in the small space we occupy, we are lawless. And so we can only make this change happen if you and I and everybody will say that, look, this is the right thing to do, this. Change must begin with me. I'm going to do to contribute my own little quarter to make Nigeria great. Once we come with the attitude that we're first Nigerians before any other thing, that we need to make the system work, we need to make the country work, and we are accountable to ourselves, we'll be able to change this. So it's not an issue of imam or pastor. As you're very much aware, you know that we're very religious people, but we are not God-fearing. Because if we're God-fearing people, a lot of the things that happen around corruption, bad governance, and the impunity we see will not be happening.
Another important responsibility of a Nigerian is the protection of public property. Public property is anything that has been provided by the government for the use of all citizens of the country. However, it has become the norm for some Nigerians to break laws. Some individuals constantly steal and vandalize public properties.
The human being is not designed to do evil. The human being is learned to do evil, and that is because of a survival instinct. So if we take care of the right thing, so I believe that if leadership is seen across board, then we'll be able to do, and it starts from the family anyway, because those who go out there to become our governors, presidents came from families. If they've been well groomed, they would have done right. But I think there's a failure of family values resulting to the things we see out there.
We need to have the heart and the mind to say, no, this is not acceptable, don't do it. And if you ask yourself this simple question, when you steal those cover, those rod, how much are you going to make out of it compared to the life of somebody that you're endangering? And so we need to have empathy. We need to have sympathy for people. We need to share in people's pain. And we need to understand that doing wrong does not make it right. And the fact that everybody is doing it does not mean that you must equally do it. That change can start with just one person. In several places around the world, changes do not start with multiple people. They usually start with one person. Nelson Mandela, count them, all of these leaders.
Some public property which are a part of a city's infrastructure for collective use include roads, pavements, pedestrian bridges, electricity transformers, manholes, streetlights, and gully inlet covers, among others. Most of these mentioned public amenities are serial victims of vandalism and theft in the FCT. The most noticeable of these vandalized public property are the manholes on the streets of Abuja.
And we did our research and found out that it is the material that the criminals are interested in, because cast iron can be melted for reuse. So what they do is to pick them up and sell them to foundry owners, who in turn melt them and use them for other purposes. So it's attractive because it has economic value. That is the basic problem for all that we are facing in the city. In 2014, we replaced about 1,403 gully inlets. The gully inlets are the one that looks like a square shape with a grated cover. So we replaced about 1,403 in 2014. And then the manhole cover itself, the one that is round in shape, we replaced about 110 pieces at that time. Then we didn't do anything until 2019. In 2019, we replaced about 3,100 pieces of gully inlet covers and about less than 50 pieces of manhole covers. Those are the bold attempts we have made in recent years. There are about 14 locations all over the city that we have replaced, and they are all intact.
As is common with all urban cities, manholes are dug in to ensure the roads are properly maintained by creating access ways for water and maintenance of sewage systems. A drive through Abuja shows a number of roads are missing manholes and other essential street facilities, mostly stolen by Nigerians who are tasked with the protection of these properties.
Anywhere you find these items being sold, you arrest those persons. The more they arrest those persons, the more it becomes bad market for those who steal them. Now, some of them use them for recycling purposes. So they go as, what do you call it, iron waste, and send them back to this thing. If you go to those factories and they come with those things, as the manhole covers and all of those things, and they arrest those companies, give them, heavy penalties that goes to smelting or goes for recycling, even if it's a plastic one, then they will not be buying from those who are bringing. It becomes bad market. They will not be stealing again. Then also, why would you sensibly implement on a project? Let's say you have a project that costs you 2 billion. It's not secured. Maybe you just use 10,000 naira to secure the project. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any common sense, and that's where the problem comes in. So the project management strategy of the government is poor, and so every project life cycle that we see, based on it doesn't really result in anything meaningful, because poor project management, cycle affects every other thing you think about.
When FCDA noticed that these covers were being stolen, they became very careful about covering them. What is the point of covering them and they will be stolen? So I think they also are in the process of finding alternative means of checkmating these menace. They are looking at materials that they can also use, that will not be attractive. So I think that is the process they are in. Apart from the fact that the road itself is just is not yet totally completed. For instance, in the contract that we have, given to the contractors, the contract contains provisions for security of the street light installations. So the contractor is expected to provide security, porter cabins here and there, where you have, security people, and then conduct surveillance at night.
The rate at which road infrastructures are stolen and vandalized in the FCT has been of enormous concern to FCDA authority and some residents of the city, most of whom have suffered from vandalism of these facilities.
Some people fall into those things. But there was a day my tires, both tires almost went, but only one was affected because I didn't know there was a water belt on top of it, flooded area, and that place was the manhole that the covers were taken out, and it's really affected my vehicle. So government need to do more. How about monitoring those places? How about making it really disinteresting for those who go for these things? So you create disincentivize that area.
Now, along the line, we discovered that if we did not do anything about the material itself, we will be fighting a lost battle. So what we did was to, redesign the materials and change it to ductile iron. Ductile iron cannot be melted for reuse. When you apply heat to ductile iron, all it does, instead of melting, it will just deform. So it will cripple and it will creep and deform, like it will get twisted and get spoiled. So it's not useful. So that was the beginning of our, victory over this menace. However, the major challenge we have is inadequate funding, because FCDA had gone so far with the deployment of cast iron, and the criminals had started stealing them en masse. Now we needed adequate funding to match up. the production with Dr. Lion. Unfortunately, funding has been a challenge for some time now, but we are not resting on our oars. We keep on every year, based on budgetary allocations that we have for that specific purpose. We have a program for it every year to replace them, the cast iron covers with Dr. Lion covers. We also make sure we provide secret locks.
The provision of infrastructure is part of the fulfillment of the social contract between the government and its citizens. Some of these infrastructures are pedestrian bridges built to prevent the risk of getting hit by vehicles when crossing the road. However, some residents choose to risk their lives racing across highways, mostly in the Lugbe area of Abuja.
There are so many places where these things are being put in place, pedestrian bridges for pedestrians to use, but you will not see them using it. In fact, somebody will be crossing the road under pedestrian bridge, using leg to cross the road under pedestrian bridge. And most of the time, this vehicle knocks people down, and it now becomes issues. So it's still the fact that people do it, and maybe there are no strong penalties. We are reviewing our regulations. The review regulation provided for if you cross where there is a pedestrian bridge within 200 meters of where you're crossing. If you cross the road, there's a penalty for that. And I think it's like 5,000 naira for doing that. That's the pedestrian now, not the vehicle.
Another common law Nigerians break with wanton abandon are traffic laws. These laws are enforced by several enforcement groups, and yet some Nigerians have the least regard for them, despite the dangers breaking them pose.
There is a total break of our social norms. People are socializing the wrong approach in most homes. And so people don't grow up respecting laws, but people grow in fearing laws. And so in most homes, you find children doing things they ought not to do. But at times they don't do it not because they hear the voices of their parents, but because they are scared of the koboko, the punishment that parents are going to give them, or school instructors. Having said that, in Nigeria, the state does not have the might. You only see the state applying its might when they think they need to subdue you. But in terms of having a law that people say, look, don't break traffic rules, do not follow one way, do not fight in public places, do not this, do not do that. People test the state, and most often the state doesn't do anything. Again, the state doesn't do anything because if the state responds to certain things, people will say it's because this person is from my ethnic group, that's why you're dealing with him. Or this person of my religion, that's why you're dealing with him. So people do not stand up to speak against injustice. People's loyalty is not to the state, but to their religion, to their ethnic affiliation, and to their chronics.
Towards curbing traffic violations and other road-related offenses in the FCT, there is a push for a change in orientation of road users in Abuja. While calling for attitudinal change, experts advocate a change in road traffic policy to bring sanity to the roads with a view to saving and protecting lives.
Most of the time, we feel we can do it and go away with it. And for as long as we keep doing it and going away with it, we will keep doing it. But for as long as we can put a system in place that will check it, I think we will be able to check it and people will change. There will be this attitudinal change. And that's what we are trying to do now. You know, we've been doing it. It's not easy putting men in places 24/7 because they are men. And there will be this, fatigue will set in and you can't just be there 24/7. But now we are changing our approach. We are trying to now introduce the use of technology.
Road transportation and traffic law enforcement agencies were established to make road users comply with traffic laws as well as reduce road crashes and fatalities. Enforcing these assignments in Nigeria in general and Abuja in particular has not been without its challenges, mostly as many traffic offenders do not suffer the consequences of their actions.
Yes, we talk about road traffic offenses. Those in government are the ones who break the laws the more. They come around with their convoys, use their sirens, and break traffic laws. So you give the citizens also the opportunity. In most cases, once they break the traffic law, you see so many vehicles falling behind them. Now, emergency situations will actually give room for, if you're using ambulances, for instance, for some kind of traffic breaches. But when government officials are the ones doing it, it becomes the order of the day, because people will always do what they see their leaders do. I know what they say. So we have that commonly broken. Then you also have the situation where, as Nigerians, we find ourselves finding ways to want to cut corners. Be it in any type of law you think about, you want to cut corners. Why? Because people have not been adequately punished. And there hasn't been a good reward system put in place to reward those who do right. So if we take care of those anomalies, then we begin to see patriotic zeal. Two, as a country, there must be a vision for which every citizen must live and die for. Do we have one? The answer is no. If you go to the America, they know the pursuit of happiness is one of their biggest goals. So every American knows that, if anybody knows that the moment I enter America, no matter how bad it is, I'm going to make it. If you work hard, the system will reward you. We need to be able to have such kind of visions to drive the people to want to die for their country.
Experts say while Nigeria does not lack laws and enforcement agents, Nigerian laws are being broken every day because enforcement and compliance to these laws have been ineffective. It is a given that when people get away with a crime, it is logical to say that they will most likely repeat such deviant behavior. Why is law enforcement such a challenge in Nigeria?
You pay a counselor that has a school cert, more than about 200. He has access to car loans, housing loans, so he earns close to $1 million a month. Then you pay a police officer with first degree, you pay him less than 150,000 naira. How do you expect him to work? Poor insurance mechanism, poor health insurance, poor life insurance, poor everything, poor welfare, poor housing, poor everything. Then you expect him to work? No, he will use the instrument of governance to advance his own personal cause. If he doesn't have the right moral bearing, it's even worse. He won't be selling weapons or even going to aid the robbery. We see that happening. It is a reason. I believe the fundamentals need to be taken care of for us to get the best results.
We are introducing the use of technology, and at the same time, we are reviewing our laws. Because these laws are becoming, archaic. They can no longer fit the challenges of present day. Like some of the fines are, they're obsolete. When somebody beats traffic light, and the old laws will just make the person pay maybe 500 naira. It's nothing. But today now, we're bringing it up. And in fact, it's becoming one of the things that we are looking at to make more, serious. That the fines will be more serious and the penalties will be so high, you understand, so that it can really deter occurrences.
To protect against economic loss and reduce death caused by road traffic violators, experts say it is important to implement modern traffic techniques to ensure complete compliance by Nigerians to the laws.
The world over now, everybody is switching to artificial intelligence, and they are deploying cameras, that's virtual technologies that could recognize number plates. And we have a robust database in FCT. Every vehicle that is registered, we have the database, we have the information of the owners and the phone number and the address. So we could send text message, and at the same time, we could deliver fines to their doorsteps. So that's what we're working on right now.
In order to make time and beat traffic, many drivers resort to driving against traffic. Others overspeed. Many disobey traffic light signals and use their cell phones while driving. While some Nigerians break these rules and get away with them, experts describe them as expensive errors that can cost people their lives, time, and resources.
Even the police that are supposed to help make the law, you find some of them too are overwhelmed. Some of them are indifferent. Some of them do not really believe in what they are doing. And so the system is not working because we don't have people in position of authority that want to insist and ensure that we follow the law to the letter. And so all of these have created so much challenges, so much difficulties, and it's a total mess for the country. And this explains why in other countries, because the law is working, even when you don't visibly see police, you know that if you break the traffic light, if you overspeed, at the end of the month, you see a bill waiting for you and they'll deduct it from source. Even if they don't take it from source, the law will definitely ensure that you do it. Here, if police arrest me or traffic or road safety or anything, between me and them, maybe it's just 1, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 marks, and they let me go. But does that change the offense? The answer is obviously no. And so Nigerians don't even do their car particulars. As simple as that. Nigerians don't want to use seatbelt. Most cars don't have fire extinguisher, even when it's for their own good. So I'm sorry to say, but it seems that it's in our DNA that we love to be in conflict with the law. And this explains why you find our society the way it is.
The importance of the law in any society cannot be overemphasized, and experts say failure to enforce these laws can only result in chaos. This may be one of the reasons stakeholders call for immediate dispensation of justice to serve as deterrent to others tempted to follow the same trend.
Basically, as a people, we don't have patience. It's not in us. Everybody is in a hurry. And if you ask the people, where are you in a hurry to go? Most of them, they're in a hurry to go nowhere. So road safety, traffic warders need to enforce the law. It doesn't matter who breaks the law. Once you enforce the law, even if the person shouts at you or call your boss, the person will go home thinking that, look, it's a disgrace for me to have done this in the first place. It's a disgrace for me to have picked my phone to call a colleague or a senior person to say, I've committed an offense, please talk to your boys or your men to release me. We need to talk to our conscience. We need to live a decent life. When you travel out of this country, Nigerians behave themselves. The reason is because the system is working. Once you get to our airport, it's business as usual. Everybody just remember, I don't come back home. Oh, this is Nigeria. Let's make things the way we live. So it's a common problem.
Law enforcement agents reiterate the need to resensitize the public to be more law-abiding and aware of their responsibility to protect government facilities in their neighborhoods. When Nigerians understand that government property belongs to them, they will be more disposed towards protection of said property and apprehend vandals when they see them.
Then when you get to traffic light junctions, wait until the traffic light passes you. If you want to cross the road and there is a pedestrian bridge provided, please use pedestrian bridge. It is very, very unsafe crossing the road, especially this kind of roads we have in Abuja where pedestrian bridges are provided. Let's use it. And for driving against traffic is one of the most dangerous thing to do because the other person is already used to the way the traffic flows. So it will not just watch the other side, and that is what has led to the death of many. And we are not happy. The whole world is not happy. United Nations is not happy, and we align ourselves with their decade of action on road safety, and that is why I'm appealing that people should learn to do the right thing rather than the easy things.
As Nigeria continues on its path to sustainable development and progress, experts advocate the support of all Nigerians in a quest to be the Nigeria all citizens can enjoy living in and be proud of. These, they say, must begin with obedience to the laws of the land, as well as taking responsibility as a Nigerian for the nation.
Most of us are products of our community. And this explains why it's easier for people to come to Abuja and steal than to steal from their village. And when you steal from Abuja, you go to your village people will be clapping for you. This our son is doing well. But you dare not steal from your tribal meeting money because people will crucify you and you have nowhere to go. So our culture and tradition aid some of these things that we do that people think is normal. And so we need to create massive awareness on issues that are not right and on issues that are right. And we keep to reinforce it until people hear it every day and run with it. One of the reasons why you hear a pastor or an imam singing two-face song, for example, it's not because he wants to sing that song. It's because every day he tunes to radio or television, that particular song is being played. One day you just hear a man of God singing the song, and you're wondering how is man of God singing this song? It's subconscious. And so we need to keep doing things that become part of us. And the only way we can do is when you reinforce it.